Good afternoon and welcome to episode number 28 of a Finch's Nest podcast. My name is Heather and I will be your host today. Today is August the 6th and I'm coming to you from a very warm and sunny southwestern Ontario. We are definitely in the midst of summer and we've had some wonderful summer weather this year. We have had some hot and humid days, which are not my favorite, but we've also had some very nice weather, so it has been a great summer. I'm just going to dress my hair because if you've watched me before, you know that I am on the mission of growing out my gray hair. It is not a fun project, let me tell you, but I'm making some good progress. But I'm at the stage where my hair just looks awful most of the time. So anyways, thankfully none of my kids are getting married or there's no big life events happening right now. So I guess it's the perfect time to grow it out. But yeah, it's a little frustrating, I have to say. If you would like to follow along with me on social media, the best place to do that is Instagram, and you can follow me there at a Finch's Nest. And I will pop that information down below. I always forget to mention that I do have show notes for the podcast, and you can find them down below, and you'll find information there on the yarns that I'm using, patterns that I'm using, and any stores that I've discussed. If you have any further questions, you can always feel free to reach out to me on Instagram or by email, and there's a link in my bio on Instagram for that. So let's jump in. I actually have quite a few projects to talk to you about today. I'm in a very busy season of life right now with children at home, elderly parents, and grandchildren. But I am trying to get as much done as I can. And yeah, I've gotten quite a few things done lately. If you hear some rustling in the background, my cat is sleeping over there. And of course, he likes to sleep on top of everything. So he's rustling a lot. Okay, so the first project that I finished was a quilt for a friend. Now, I did a separate video for this, and I'm going to try to put it in here. I don't think I've ever done that before, but I think I can figure it out. I had to give her the quilt, and at the time I didn't have time to do a podcast, and so I just recorded like a short little video about the quilt. So I'm going to try to insert it. Okay, so my first finish is something I'm really excited about, and it's a really special one. So I have a friend that I met at church a few years ago, and she's just really become a very dear friend. And since I've known her, she lost her best friend. And her best friend had passed of cancer a couple of years ago. Anyways, last year her best friend's husband was clearing out her things, and she was a quilter and sewer, and so he boxed up all her fabric and asked this friend of mine, do you happen to know anyone who sews that I could give this fabric to, because I don't know what to do with it. And she's like, oh yes, I know somebody who would love to have that. So I inherited all this fabric. So most of it was like quilting cottons, and there were some flannels and stuff. So anyways, I had taken the quilting cottons and, sorted them all by color and put them in some bins to store them. And then all along I thought I need to make something for my friend Vanna out of this fabric that would, remind her of her friend. So then my friend Vanna announced that she was retiring in June. And so I thought, oh, this is the perfect chance that I can make her something. So Vanna's favorite color is brown, which, if you know me at all, brown would not be my favorite color or even on the radar. So when I thought of I have to make something out of brown, this could be a challenge. But when I went into all this fabric that had been gifted to me, there was so much brown fabric. And it was almost like maybe her friend had chosen these fabrics already to make something for Vanna. I don't know that. I'm just assuming, because why would anybody have so much brown in their stash? Because with all the beautiful colors. But anyways, there was a lot of brown in the stash. And so anyways, I took the fabrics from her friend's stash and I made her a quilt to commemorate her retirement. And it's been a really fun project to work on because my friend is very sentimental and very, what's the word? Very emotional, very soft, kind-hearted. And I just know that she's going to love this so much and it's going to be something she cherishes. So it's been fun to make it, and I am giving it to her in about an hour. So that's why I had to kind of slip this in. I was going to say slip this in this way, but I am so excited to give it to her. So anyways, the quilt is called the Library Nook, and this is a free pattern that I found, and it's by Modern Charm Stitchery. And if you'll notice, one of the reasons why I chose this quilt was because I was really having a hard time with the brown, because really brown is just not in my wheelhouse at all. And when I saw the sample of this quilt, it was done in browns and blues, and I was also putting blues in this quilt. And so seeing a sample in the colors that I was trying to work with, which were outside of my wheelhouse, made it much easier. So that's partly why I chose this quilt. Also, you'll notice that these flowers are very asymmetrical, which I am a very symmetrical thinker. And so this was a challenge actually for me, and I did it just the way it was supposed to be. But yeah, so I just kind of pushed myself a little bit to be asymmetrical. So anyways, so this was the pattern. I believe it's still free. It's just on her website. And it was like a sew along. I didn't really participate in the sew along per se. I just used this pattern. So anyways, here's the quilt, and I'm so excited about it. And you know what? Even though it's brown, it actually turned out quite nice. So I hope, well, I know she's going to love it. I don't even have to hope. I know she will. So here's her quilt, and I'll come up close because I noticed in taking photos, I was trying to get some nice photos of it. It's very difficult to get a good photo because there's so many like neutrals and stuff. But in a photo, you can't see all the cute little prints that there are in some of the fabrics. It's just really, really cute. Anyways, I will try to see more of it. I will post photos on Instagram later today, so you can check those out. But this is her quilt, and every fabric except for one was a fabric of her friend. So let's see if we can get some more in here. Here you can see how so many of the fabrics have little prints or tone-on-tone prints on them, which just make it really, really cute. The flowers are done using English paper piecing, which I didn't really want to do. So what I did do is I can get a little closer. I cut out, I cut out the hexagons, and I used freezer paper and basted with a needle and thread. I basted around each hexagon, and then I attached them to the quilt using a blanket stitch on my sewing machine. So you can see there. I wonder if there's one where you can see it a little bit better. Let's try this one. It's hard to see. Hard to see the stitching, but all around the edge here, there's the blanket stitch. There you go, from the sewing machine. So they still look like a traditional English paper pieced flower, but a little bit easier. And in this situation, I wanted her quilt to be very durable because she has little grandchildren that come to visit. So I want them to be able to use her quilt as well. I don't want her to have to treat it special. This fabric here, this off-white with the little brown flowers, that is the one fabric that I had to purchase, but the rest were all of her friends. And I only had to purchase it because I was running out of background fabrics, and there were more like off-white fabrics in her friend's collection of fabrics, but they were like an off-white that kind of leaned yellow or blue, where these ones have more of a like a brown undertone. So that's why I had to get another fabric. So anyways, this is her quilt. I'm happy with how it turned out, and I know she's gonna love it because that's just who she is. So then on the back, I also wanted to use fabrics that were her friends, so I didn't have a piece quite big enough, but this piece was almost big enough, and it's very pretty, you can see, and it's got some of that blue that I used in the front in it, so that was great. So I just put a brown border on each side just to stretch it a little further, and then on the bottom I did make a label for it commemorating her, her retirement, but also, where is it? Also kind of explaining, you know, that it was her friend's fabric and that I just made it for her. So it was a group effort. It was a group effort between her two friends. So I know, just because I know my friend so well, that she will cherish this and it will be very special to her. So it's fun to make things for people like that, because you just know all the time and effort and love that went into it is going to mean something to her. So I'm going to wrap it up, and I'm going to meet her this morning for coffee. And yeah, we're going to go down to the bridge. I think I've mentioned this before, but I live in a border town to the US, and where the bridge is connecting the two, we have a beautiful park there. So we're going to meet there, and it's going to be a hot day, so we're going to sit in the shade, and I'm going to take a little snack for us and some lemonade. And she is not expecting this at all. This is going to be a surprise for her, and I cannot wait. So I will, I'll fill you in, because I'll have to record the rest of this podcast probably later today or tomorrow, so then I can update you on her reaction and how it all went. But I wanted to make sure you got to see it, and hopefully I can get some better photos to post on Instagram. So anyways, that was my first finish, and I am absolutely thrilled, and I'm very excited to give her this today. Anyways, I'll see you in a bit with the rest of my FOs. That was a really fun project to do. I loved making that. Sewing is my first love. I love knitting, but I do love sewing more. And it was fun making it for my friend, because I knew how she was going to cherish it. And she really does. She gave such a great reaction when I gave it to her, and yeah, she really cherishes it. So that was really super fun. So my next project is something very different. So a couple years ago, my daughter and her husband gave me a kit to make a macrame wall hanging. And at the time, my daughter said that she was going to order the supplies to make one herself, and then we could do them together. So she was like, don't start it yet, just wait. So unfortunately, that didn't pan out. But because I waited and I kind of put it away, it kind of got forgotten. And I was cleaning out my sewing room recently, reorganizing, and I found it, and I thought I need to make this thing because I do love it, and I didn't want my daughter and my son-in-law to think that I didn't appreciate the gift, but it had been sitting for too long. So I pulled it out and worked on it. And once I started, it was like I couldn't stop, which I would not recommend because I worked so hard on it this one day, and I woke up the next morning and I could barely use my hands. They were so sore, which is so funny because you would not expect. But I guess tying all those knots is using different muscles than you generally use. So anyways, the wall hanging is called the Twisted Squares. And I'm going to show you the pattern and the designer's name there, because I'm not going to try to pronounce that last name. But that is the wall hanging. And this is mine. Now I do have elastic bands on the ends right now of the dowel, just so nothing falls off until I get this hung up on the wall. But this is it, and I love it so much. It's so pretty. So now I'm trying to decide where to hang it. I have two options. I have a wall in my kitchen that is like far from the, stove and everything. It's over by my table. And the wall is, maybe about this much wider on each side. So it would fit there perfectly. But I also have a big wall in my dining room that really needs something. And I think that would be my first choice for this. But then if I'm going to use this, I need to add some other things, like maybe a little shelf or some pictures or something, just to kind of fill in that big space. So I haven't really had time to think about what I'm going to do yet. But yeah, so I'm just waiting to figure out where I'm going to hang this. So, and it doesn't hang perfectly straight, but I think once I get these elastic bands off and I can kind of move things over a bit, I think it'll hang better. But yeah, it was a really fun project and something really different. I'd never done anything like this before. So yeah, so that's the Twisted Squares macrame. So my daughter had bought me like a whole big cone of the macrame cord, and there was not very much left. It does take a lot of cord. So this is all that I had left. But I know there's little keychains and stuff that you can make with macrame, so I thought I'll just keep those little bits and maybe make some little keychains for gifts or something. So that was a fun project. So what's next? Okay, some socks. My sock blocker. So I know I've talked about this before, but last year I participated in the Colourwork Cuff Club with Summer Lee Knits, and I have noticed that she's started next year's. Now next year's is not a Colourwork Cuff Club, it's just the Cuff Club. So it's not going to be all Colourwork this time. There's going to be like patterned cuffs, like maybe with cables or something. So I have signed up. Now there has been a problem with the sign up because I have signed up and I have paid, but it is not showing up in my Ravelry. So I've contacted them, so I'm sure they'll take care of that. But these socks are from last year's Colourwork Cuff Club, and this was the February sock, which is adorable. Looks funny there for some reason. Let's stretch it out a little. There we go. Yeah, so this is the February sock, and I do have both of them. The red is the Patons Kroy, and so is the cream. And then, let's see, what have we got? The light pink is United Socks Katia in color number 14, which is that pale pink. And then this turquoise, which you can see there. I'm not sure what this is. I think it might be a mini that I had probably from Legacy Fiber Artz. And what other color? The gray was just a little scrap that I had. But I think they're adorable. Now, back to the Colourwork Cuff Club. This is the February chart. But she had also said, like, if you didn't want to do all of this color work, you could just do the hearts at the top of your sock. So that would also be really cute. But I am glad I did the whole chart because I think they're very cute. And because they're the Patons Kroy, I find it's just like a hardy, denser fingering weight sock yarn. So I think these are going to be really warm and cozy socks, which is exactly what you need for Valentine's Day in the middle of winter. So, yep, they're just so cute. So I had a lot of fun doing this Colourwork Cuff Club. I feel like socks, I'm always knitting socks. I need a lot of mindless projects at this stage of life, and socks really fit the bill for me. So it was fun doing all these different Colourwork cuffs. Now, I didn't finish the whole year. I can't remember how many I did. Quite a few. There was a couple that I didn't really like that much, and a couple I didn't get to, but I did do most of them, I would say. More than half, for sure. So those were February socks. And as far as like exactly what colors I used, they're all in the show notes below. So you can go check those out. This is part of the Colourwork Cuff Club again, and this is the March sock. And I think it's adorable. This is obviously just a shorty sock with this cute little daisy detail. I definitely want to make another pair of these. I think my daughter would love a pair of these. Yes, so I do have the pair done. And these ones actually I worked through pretty quickly. I really enjoyed these ones. I love how with the Colourwork Cuff Club you have this cute little bit of interest, and then it's just a plain sock. So you can get through them pretty quickly. And they make a little bit of a statement, these Colourwork socks do. So I really like this one. And again, this is the March sock. Okay, so the yarns that I used for this sock, this plum color, is a Regia 4-ply. And the color number is 02747. And the pale pink for the daisies is the Uni Merino. And it's color number 107. I love this color. Such a pretty pink. And then the gold, which is just the tiny little bit there, is this, which I've had forever. I don't think they even make this yarn anymore, but I could be wrong. This is the Bush Itty Bitty, and it's color number 5742. I'm not really a yellow or gold person, but I'm glad I had this in my stash because it was perfect for this project, and I actually used it for another project as well. So yeah, so those are the colors, and these are the socks, and I think they're just so cute. Here's the other one. So adorable. And this Regia yarn should be good and durable as well. Now I have noticed, because I have cats, that dark colored socks probably aren't the best option for me because you can see all the cat hair, but I really love these socks. So, and these would, because they're shorties, they go a little quicker, and this pattern I think so many people would like. I think it would be a great pattern to knit for gifts and stuff. So anyways, that's the March sock from the Colourwork Cuff Club from Summerly Knits. The next project is something that I made for my daughter for her birthday. So my oldest daughter, she loves handmade things, and she loves to read. So I made her a book sleeve. She goes to a book club, and I thought, oh, wouldn't it be nice for her to take her book in a pretty book sleeve instead of just, taking your book. So I made her this. Now this is not hers. This is one that I think this was kind of my first attempt, and then I made hers afterwards. So yeah, your book fits in here. And then for hers, I put like a notebook in here, and then I had given her some nice pens and highlighters. So it was like a complete package. So it looked really cute with the book sticking out, and yeah. So she uses it all the time, she says, and if she goes to her book club, some of the ladies comment on her book sleeves. So she's really enjoying it, and yeah, I had fun making it. So yeah, it's just a cute book sleeve. And this cute fabric on the back. So yeah, that was also a fun project. I love making things for people. So I think I have more fun making things for other people than I do for myself. And so sometimes I think that's why my projects, like all the sweaters I've started for myself, never get finished. But I'm hoping to change that this year because I do have some really nice sweaters started that I really would like to get to, but maybe when the weather changes, I will feel more motivated to do that. So the next finished object is the November socks. And this is, yeah. And I also love these ones. Again, just like a simple design at the top. And obviously this is part of the Colourwork Cuff Club again. So a simple design, but it makes for such a nice sock. I do believe I might have added this. I don't know if this was in the pattern or not. It looks kind of wonky there where the decrease is, but it looks cute on your foot. So yeah, this is the November sock. Very cute. And again, I used like all of these colors I just have in my stash left from things. So I kind of have yarn. I have a cabinet in my living room with some yarn, like the stuff I use the most. And then in the basement, I have other yarn that's like in bins. So my solid colored sock yarn was downstairs, and it was kind of not terribly organized. So a while ago, I gathered them all up and I put them in a drawer in this cabinet in my living room. So now it's fun when I get these Colourwork charts, because I can just go through all my little scraps, and you don't need much. So you can find like a little ball like this, and it's going to be enough to do some accents on a sock. So that's always good. But anyways, isn't that cute? So this one, I have some of the yarns here. The rest are listed in the show notes below. So if there's anything else you're interested in, you can find them there. So the main color was this online Super Sock 100, color 55. And this is all that's left of it. But it's this online yarn. So that was the main color. And then there was the light gray. Let's see. I made two lists of the yarns. Okay, the light gray is the Cascade Heritage color 5742. The pink is the Uni Merino again, color 107. The coral color is United Socks Katia, color number 18. This is a really nice color. I like it. And then the gold, again, is the Sugar Bush Itty Bitty, color 5009. And actually, I have two different colors written down for that gold. So it's either 5742 or 5009. I need to double check which one it really is. And then the off-white is the Patons Kroy muslin color, which I use all the time. So yeah, so that's the November socks. And again, I have the pair, and they are finished. So for right now, I've been knitting all of these in my size, which would also fit my daughter or my daughter-in-law, or one daughter and one daughter-in-law. And yeah, I haven't been wearing any of them. I've just been putting them away until I decide if I'm going to keep them all, which is what I'm feeling like, or if I'm going to share them. But it's very tempting to keep them after all that work. So yeah, so that was the November sock. Okay, I forgot to mention with the Colourwork Cuff Club socks, she does give you a base pattern that you can use as part of your package for the year. I didn't use it because I already have my standard 64 stitch pattern that I use. So I've just been using, all of these have been knit on a 64 stitch sock pattern. And I believe hers are very similar to this, but mine would be 64 stitches, and then I always like the heel flapping gusset on my socks. So that's how they've all been knit, and I just forgot to mention that. So that's it on those. Okay, my next finish, I will admit I'm very disappointed in. So this was a test, and the test is for, there's no name on here. Okay, it's Pacific Knit Co. So if you're familiar with the Doodle decks and the Doodle designs, this is part of that. So she was coming out with, well, she is coming out with, it comes out in 2 days, a new Doodle deck. 2 actually. One is fairy tale and one is science fiction. And so when I saw the fairy tale, I thought, oh, I'm going to want to do this because I have little granddaughters who love all things fairy tale. So I was chosen as a tester, and I decided to make a cowl for my granddaughter. So I am new to Doodles. I've never had a Doodle deck or tested any of her patterns. So yeah, this was new to me. So she does have some base patterns that you can use. So I decided to use the Doodle standard cowl. And it comes in some different sizes, child, teen, and adult. So my granddaughter is 4 and she's teeny tiny. And so I thought I would do the child size. So part of my disappointment is, well, I'm sure all of the disappointment is in myself. It's not necessarily the pattern or anything. So basically you take a base pattern and then you take the Doodle charts and then you can design your piece. Now some people are very creative and very good with like different apps so that you can kind of mix and match all the different doodles. And so I'm not that talented. So I had decided from what I understood, the cowl was going to be so many rows. And so in that, I decided I would do the, I guess it's like the carriage from Cinderella. And then I was going to do like a little border piece, and then I was going to do the castle. And the castle was my favorite part of it. And once I got the carriage done, I realized that there's no way I could add the castle. It would be far too like long for her little tiny neck, right? So, yeah. So I'm just disappointed. So anyways, I'll show you what I have created and explain why I'm disappointed. So this is what I've come up with. Now with the Doodle decks and the Doodle charts, it's basically a chart in like, I believe it's 2 different, like a light and a dark, or light, medium, and a dark. And then you kind of have to figure out what, like how you want the colors and stuff. So it was a little more taxing on my brain than I was expecting. But anyways, so this is the carriage motif, the border design that I was going to use, and then I was going to do the castle. But you can see, like, this is more than wide enough for my neck. There's no way if I had put the castle on top that it would have been okay for a 4-year-old. So I'm disappointed because the castle was my favorite part. But anyways, it is a cute little cowl. Little carriage. It did turn out cute. It is a lot of work. I will say it's a lot of work. A lot of ends to weave in. My other concern is I don't think it's going to fit over her head. It won't fit over my head, I can tell you that. And I don't think it's going to fit over hers. So my thought was I could maybe try, I've never done this before, but to steek right down the middle there. It would kind of mess up this design in here a little bit, but to steek it and then put bands on, like in this color down each side, and put some buttons on it to make it just a little bit wider and easier to get on, because I'm a little worried it's not going to fit over her head, and I don't really want to give it to her and then have to take it back. So I'm not sure what to do. But I'm very disappointed. Oh dear. And yeah, I don't know that I enjoyed it enough to do it again with the castle on it. So that's my predicament. I like the colors I used. Her coat is pink, so like for winter. So it would have looked really cute with her coat, but it's not going to look cute if she can't get it over her head. Oh, so disappointed. And it was quite a bit of work, because in spots there you have quite a few colors going at the same time. But anyways, I will see how I'm going to move forward on this. Her birthday's at the end of August, so the plan was that I was going to give it to her for her birthday. But again, I don't want to give it to her if it's not going to fit. So I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to deal with that problem. If her little brother comes over before her birthday, I could try it on him, because even though he's younger, he's not much smaller than she is. So I could try that, but I may have to put some ribbing bands down the front, which I think would be a good solution. But at this point, I'm like annoyed with it because I'm so disappointed that it's not the castle. And again, it's not the pattern's fault. I should have clued in that 60 rows was going to be too long for a cowl for a child, but I didn't. So it's my own fault. I should have been maybe thinking through that more, but you know how it is when you start a pattern. You just start going and following the instructions and hoping for the best. But it didn't work out. So that was kind of my fault. So I will put below all the yarns that I used for this. These were all just stuff I had in my stash. So I will put them down below though. Yeah, so I did just finish that yesterday. The deadline was today. So I made the deadline, so that was good. But you'll have to look on Ravelry for some of the projects, because some of the people are very, very creative and really know how to use different apps to make it easier to sort of mix and match everything, which, like, they wouldn't have like a whole row of a carriage. They would have a carriage with like other things. And with the sci-fi, there's like rocket ships and stuff, so they'll have like a rocket ship with different things coming down beside it, like really creative. But I am not that creative. So anyways, it's finished. And I think she would like it if we can get it over her head. So we'll just have to see how that all pans out. I will keep you updated. Okay. I hope this podcast is not completely discombobulated. my house has just turned into chaos. It was very quiet here. My one daughter was home. She was downstairs busy doing things. And then I no sooner start this, she comes upstairs. My other daughter and her boyfriend come over, banging around in the kitchen. Cats are meowing. The birds are squawking. It's like chaos around here right now. Oh, and I'm trying to stay focused, and it's not easy. Okay, so next is the things that I'm working on. And there's not too many. So we will get going on those. Okay, so the things I'm working on. So last week I decided very last minute to go away for a week. So my daughter and her family were up north at a camp that I used to work at, and they were there for last week and this week. And my other daughter was away with her friends, and so it was just my one daughter at home and myself. So we went away, and I took all my whips with me. Now, I didn't have as much knitting time as I anticipated, but it was fun to just throw everything in a basket and hope that I would get some knitting time. But anyways, I would rather spend that time with my grandbabies, which is what I did. But I did get some knitting done. So these are the projects that I'm focused on right now, and making some good progress. So there's one missing. Here it is. So these are my current works in progress. Some of these you've seen before. I think there's just one new one, or maybe two. So last time I podcast, I'm pretty sure I talked about this, but this is the little sweater that I'm making for my granddaughter, which I'm absolutely thrilled with. It's so cute. This is actually the same granddaughter that I made that cowl for. So this will be for Christmas. And I am doing, I didn't even bring the pattern, the Blossoms of Snow pattern by Stitched in Sweden. And I can't remember what size. I'm assuming it's probably like the 4 to 6 size, because she's going to be 4 in a couple weeks. But, and again, I'm not going to go through all the colors. I will list them all below. But this is all knit in Barocco Vintage DK, which I've said it before, and I'll say it again, is the best yarn for little kids. It's so soft, and it's machine washable for their mummies to take care of it. So this has been going really well. I think I have like a 1/2 inch, and then I can start the ribbing on the bottom. It was interesting because when we were camping, we were staying in like it's kind of like a little strip of rooms, kind of like a little motel at this camp. And there were some elderly ladies staying at the end, and so they would have to walk past where I would sit outside all the time, and they'd always stop and see how much progress I had made on my sweater. I kind of thought I would have finished this sweater last week when I was away, but obviously that didn't happen. So I still have the sleeves to go and the ribbing on the bottom. But I'm hoping I can get the ribbing done this weekend. I can take it to knitting at the bridge and hopefully get that done. That's some good mindless knitting for the bridge. So that sweater is going to be a gift for Christmas. So I have my grandson's done already, and then I have this one almost done, and so then I just have to start their big sister's sweater. So I wanted to do the 2 little ones first, and then I'll try to pick the colors for Annie's based on her siblings, so they all kind of coordinate a little bit. So yeah, so I'm on track to have those done for Christmas, so I'm excited about that. What else do I have here? Here's a new style of bag that I've been making. Isn't it cute? Except the corners popped in. This fabric's really cute. for us cat lovers. So this is another sock from the Colourwork Cuff Club. This one's very much in progress. And this is, I don't know which month, May, the May sock. It's got these little flowers at the top. And then this sock, she did put like a pattern in the sock part. So you can see that, just like a 3x1 ribbing, but it adds some interest to it. So I think these will be very cute and springy for next spring because they didn't get done for this spring. But I'm making good progress. This must be, I don't know, I haven't worked on these for a while, but I must be almost to the toe. Let's see where we're at. Getting there. I'll probably do the toe in the cream color just to make this yarn go a little further. So the yarns I'm using, the white or off-white is the Online Super Sock color 0023. It's just an off-white. And then the green is the Uni Merino Mini color 3374. And that's just for the little stems. And this main color and this one came together, and they are from Legacy Fiber Artz, and they were part of the 4 Sundays of Advent from last year. And so it was called Pat the Bunny, and it was a micro sock kit. So yeah, I had these and I thought these were perfect for like a spring sock. And I happen to have this left from when I made the monster socks last year. So, and of course I always have off-white in my stash. So anyways, I think these are going to be really cute socks when they're done. So yeah, I was hoping I would have gotten every month done over the year in the Colourwork Cuff Club, but I didn't quite make it. I need to go back and see how many I'm missing. I know I'm missing one from the fall and this Christmas one. And then maybe, I don't think I did June or July. So I'm missing at least 4. So anyway, so that was the May sock, and that's Summerly Knits. And I'm wondering now, you could probably buy the Colourwork Cuff Club from last year. I would assume she's still selling it on her website or on Ravelry. So if you're interested in doing them, I'm sure you could find them. Okay, this is a new cast on. I cast this on when I was away last week because I wanted something mindless. So I'm knitting socks for my boys for Christmas, as usual. So this is a new one that I just cast on. I love the colors. I love that sort of brownish, terracotta-ish color. So this yarn is Lang Super Socks, and the color is 666.0407. Oh, this one is 55% wool, 25 nylon, and 20% silk. Wow. I didn't even realize that. That's why it's so nice. Nice colors for a guy. So I will use a contrasting heel and toe for sure. I don't know what color. I don't have that sort of, it's kind of like a chestnut color, I guess, more than a terracotta. If I had that, I would do the toes and heels in that, but I don't. So I'll probably try to match up one of the grays. Thankfully, there's lots of different shades of gray in it, so I should have something that will work. But yeah, these were just a mindless project for camp. So yeah, I'll keep going on those. Those are also another good project to take when I go to the bridge or to the beach. So I don't know which sun they'll be for. I haven't decided yet. I usually make the 3 pairs of socks and then decide which son gets which pair and what pair my son-in-law gets. And I usually make that decision at the end. So I have one more finished sock. One finished sock though. I'm working on its pair. And this one I believe will be for my son-in-law. My son-in-law loves all the Carhartt stuff. And so this sock just kind of makes me think of Carhartt with all the different shades of brown. So yeah, I just finished this sock last night and started the second one. I'm not thrilled with how it kind of does these, blips of color, but overall, it actually shows up way more on the camera than it does in person. When you look at the sock, you don't notice it so much, but in the camera, you really notice it. But this is the Superba Soupy Doopy, and the color 005. And I'm pretty sure I got this at Mary Maxim when I was there in the fall. Actually, I think that's where I bought the other one as well. So I'm always on the hunt for nice men's sock yarn. My stash is full of pretty pinks and stuff, but not so much the men's colors. So yeah, so these are 72 stitches. And then I just do a 2x2 rib, and then a heel flap and gusset, and your standard toe. So, and I always use contrasting heels and toes for the men because they all have fairly big feet. So it helps this main color last a little longer. I'm always worried about running out with men's socks. So I find if I do the heels and toes in a contrast, then it does stretch farther. And if I happen to have a lot left over, I can always make socks for my grandson out of the leftovers. So I'm kind of hoping I will with this one because this feels pretty meaty still. So if I do have some, then he can have socks to match his daddy. But yeah, so this pair, as of right now, I'm thinking my son-in-law. So, and the brown that I used here is a Regia 4-ply in the color 02903. And again, I'll add these underneath. I know I haven't added them yet, but I will later. So, yeah. And then I started the second sock. Haven't gotten super far. Just a little bit. So I'm hoping to get through the ribbing, and then it'll be a great bridge knitting project. Or I'm actually going to the beach tonight, so I might take it there and work on it as well. I like to have projects for the bridge with friends that I don't have to think about it all, because I'd rather be talking to my friends than thinking about what I'm knitting. And if I have to think about it too much, then I'm going to make a mistake. So yeah, but if I'm going to the beach by myself, it's different. I'll take anything to the beach. But when I go to the bridge with my friends, I like mindless projects. Okay, so I think that's it for whips. I have been doing some sewing. I'm hoping to make a little dress for my granddaughter's birthday. I'm hoping to make myself a couple tops. I feel like I don't have enough summer tops, and I'm wearing the same like 4 or 5 tops all the time. So I picked up some fabrics. I'm hoping to make some new ones. What else have I been working on? I pulled out my crochet blanket and I put like a half a row on it. So I'm not going to show you that. What else? I'm trying to think what I've been up to. Oh, I will update you on a little life news. So I know I've mentioned here before, and I showed you, actually let me get it. So the sweater that I'm knitting for my granddaughter currently, I also knit the same sweater for my grandson earlier in the year, which is also part of his Christmas gift. And my lovely cat got a hold of it one day, and she is obsessed with wool, and she has done quite a bit of damage to this sweater that I'm going to have to fix. I still haven't fixed it yet because I'm so mad about it. So she has done things like this. I don't know how well you can see this. There's another one. She's just pulled. I was so disappointed because it turned out so cute. And now it's going to be hard to fix it like perfectly. Here's another one. Anyways, this cat, I love her dearly, and it's a good thing because she loves to get into wool, and she loves to get into the thread on my sewing machine. So my yarn is mostly kept in that cabinet that I was saying, or in bins, except for like when I'm working on projects like this, it'll be in a project bag. She will open these and she will get the yarn out. So I have been making some new bags for myself with zippers, and I have been at night putting my knitting like behind a door somewhere where she can't get it. But one day she got into my sewing room, and you can see behind me, you see that arm where the thread goes. She likes to go back there and chew on the thread. So, you know, of course, I'll always stop her when I see her. But the one day I left the door open and she got in, and I came home and I noticed like the thread was all over the place. And at the time she seemed fine, and so I wasn't too worried. But then as the day went on, she kind of deteriorated, and she was doing funny things with her mouth. Like, we found out later that the thread was stuck at the back of her tongue. So I guess she was trying to get it out, and she couldn't get it out, and she was like throwing it, like heaving kind of, but nothing was coming out, and she was getting very lethargic. So I took her to the vet, and she had swallowed the thread, and so, but it had stuck at the back of her tongue and was now like cutting her tongue. So she had to have surgery. Oh dear. And they had to go in and retrieve the thread from her tongue. And then the vet was explaining to me what happens is the thread is trying to pass through her system, but it can't because it's attached to her tongue. So then her system starts like, I don't know exactly how she described it, but starts getting bunched up, I guess. And then it can cause all kinds of other problems. So anyways, thankfully we caught it quickly, and so she didn't have a lot of damage to like her intestines or anything like that. But she did have to have significant surgery, which costs significant amounts of money. So the sewing room door is always closed now. And so now I'm finding what I do at the end of the night when I'm done with my knitting is I throw it in my sewing room and shut the door, and everything is safe. So that was some stress we didn't need, or expense we didn't need. So that sneaky cat, she is something else. But anyways, she came through her surgery really well, and she's fine now. But she would go back and chew that thread again if you let her. So we're not going to allow that to happen. Other than that, I'm trying to think about if we've had any exciting life things. I don't think so. Well, for those of you who know, I have elderly parents, and my father's in a nursing home. I'm wondering if he was in the nursing home last time I podcast. If not, he is now. He got moved in March. He's doing as well as you can when you're elderly with Alzheimer's. His Alzheimer's is definitely getting worse. But his health is stable, so that's good. And my mom she's pretty healthy for her age, so I'm grateful for that. So that's a lot of what's on my plate these days. I had a great week at camp with my grandkids. It was so fun to see them every day and just, get to go to the beach and the park and the pool and all the little things with them. So that was really fun. I have been working on Christmas gifts. I think I'm in a good space for Christmas gifts. I say that, but we shall see. I'm hopeful. It's these men's socks. When men's socks are done, then I feel like I can do this. So I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do for all the girls. We'll have to wait and see. But I think that's about it for now. Hopefully this podcast was not a mumble jumble mess, because from how I'm feeling right now, it feels like it's been utter chaos. Oh dear, it's just crazy. But hopefully you enjoyed the projects that I made. And one thing I did want to show you. So I did mention that I was making a new style of bag, which was this one that I made for myself. And I do have some that I've been working on that are going to be in the shop. I would imagine it'll be a couple weeks yet, because I want to have like a decent stock before I put them in the shop. But here are some of the cute fabrics. Now these bags, I feel like you could use these bags for so many things. Like definitely for projects, but also for like makeup or like devices. They are really, really cute. They're all quilted. This fabric is adorable. So there's that one so far, and I have this Alice in Wonderland one, rifle paper, and I have this one, which is a Tula Pink fabric. It's on there, a little flower. And I have this one. I feel like I have more. They're just not right here right now. This one's really cute. Yeah, so this design is definitely coming. We'll just see how much time I get to make bags in the next couple weeks, and hopefully they'll be in the shop soon. I have a bunch quilted already, so I just have to make them into bags now. But I've been having a lot of fun sewing. I was really busy with bags there for a while, and so that was fun. Can you hear my cat? This is what she does when she finds her favorite toy. She likes to tell everybody that she found it. So, yeah, just to add more chaos to today. Anyways, you have been keeping me really busy making bags, so thank you for those who support my little shop. I do really appreciate it. It does make a difference for me and my family. So, anyways, thanks for tuning in, and hopefully my next podcast won't be so chaotic and not so long till my next podcast, but I make no promises. Anyways, follow me on Instagram, and I hope you have a great day and enjoy the rest of your summer or winter, depending where you're living. And I will talk to you soon. Bye.